In the Supra I'm working on, the oil pressure gauge showed nothing. I measured it mechanically at the coolant runoff and got a pretty positive reading, so I wasn't concerned so much about whether it was low oil pressure immediately. But it never did register anything on the in-cabin meter, and so I decided I would devise a solution whereby I bypassed that and got to the bottom of uh, what the oil pressure really was and where the problem was, and to make sure I had a more reliable reading later. So I decided to go about finding a way to hook up a oil pressure kit to it and maybe keep the old one in line just in case I figured out why it isn't working. Obviously, this is the old oil pressure sender. I don't know whether that's bad or whether the meter, whether the gauge inside the cabin is bad. Uh, anyway, spent about the first half of today sussing out what these connections are, and it turns out my final solution was probably the first place where I should have gone, and that is these are 1/8 brass fittings thread, and it doesn't on the packages at Home Depot. It doesn't really say what thread they are. It just says on the package brass fitting. So, but I guess that's an actual thread pattern, brass fitting or brass pipe fitting, BPF or something like that. And I found a very nice T there. It gives plenty of room to hook into the extant sender, and also got this male-to-male connector to get it into the block. And this is from the part I picked up at O'Reilly's. It will be a secondary meter with a fairly reasonable price, and this is going to be a compression fitting onto a plastic hose, and I'll have the meter basically, since I'm going to be testing it a lot in the garage, basically with the hood up. I'm going to just keep that meter in the under the trunk, under the hood, and watch it while I'm playing around with it. I'm going through the engine quite a bit right now. Recently I did the turbo, but I decided it needed a TB water pump kit and this, and perhaps some more, and injectors. So that is how I am going to have reliable oil pressure check with brass pipe fitting, T, etc.